Big Nasty. Yeah, Big Nasty, Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother. You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a very special edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast. We are live on YouTube today. This is going to be our last show before the 2019 NFL Draft. We are 2 days away, and I am so damn excited. Glad to have you folks here with us. If you're watching now, for the people coming on, welcome to the show. If you're new around here, I am your host, Rhett. Joined alongside me, as always, my good buddy and co-host, Mr. Bucs Football, Evan. And Evan, like I said, man, we are just 2 days away from the NFL Draft. We're going to be talking about it the rest of the show, but damn, dude, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be here before we know it.
It's one of those, milestones of the offseason every single year. You kind of go into the offseason every December 30th or 31st. Typically it lands on my birthday, but you go into that and you're like, this is going to be the longest 8 months of my life before I can watch this team play. And of course, we've still got, 4 months to go. But to put things in perspective, the NFL Draft is really when things just kind of start to heat up and you get an idea of what team you're going to see on the field, what talent's going to be brought to the table, where you're going to get help. And I don't want to say this is the beginning of the end, but we're coming up to the start of where things get very exciting and gets us that much closer to getting these guys back in the building. So I am pumped, dude. But
yeah, I think the draft is different than free agency because the draft you can watch, and free agency you can watch, but like from afar.
Right.
Like the draft, you can basically watch your team acquire new players. Free agency, okay, it's fine that you can hear the news that so-and-so is signed with so-and-so, but it doesn't do the same thing that, like, drafting does, especially because, these guys, they're on rookie deals, so when they're on free agent deals, you always wonder, what's the money like? What's this dude done? But the draft, all these guys, none of them you can declare busts, right? So that's why the draft is one of the most fun times of the year, and might be more fun than the regular season for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, comparing it to free agency, it's something you can watch, but you kind of, when you get those glimpses behind the scenes, when you get to look into the war room with the GM and the coach and basically everyone saying, okay, this is what we're going to go after, this is how we're going to do it. And let's say there's a situation where they've got everything plotted out, that pick gets taken, and then they have to scramble and figure out what we're going to do. I think it's just a different energy. And it means that much more because you're not bringing in a free agent signing, some guy who's, played on a couple of other teams. You're hoping to bring in your next superstar. And if you screw that up, as we've seen the Bucs do many a times before, you're going to pay the price. But if you don't screw it up, you should have, a bona fide winner on your team for a long time. But ladies and gentlemen, for those of you just joining us, like I said before, we are going to spend the rest of this show pretty much talking all things draft. Evan's got a mock draft for you. We're going to be answering some of your questions, and if you're following along in the live chat, we appreciate you very much, and we'll answer some of those questions there as well. But first and foremost, I just want to put out there, and I know you're not too happy about it. I know you don't exactly agree with it, but I just want to let everybody know that Devin White's still my guy. Like if you've got Josh Allen and Devin White, I think the Bucs would pick Devin White, but I'm still going to pick Devin White. Quinnen Williams is a generational player. I get it.
And you pick him. Pick
who? Quinnen Williams?
You pick Quinnen Williams. If Quinnen Williams is there, you pick him. If Quinnen
Williams is there, I'm not going to say that I won't pick Quinnen Williams.
If Quinnen Williams, you know how teams take most of the 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
most of the time, and then it says like Pickett's in. If Quinn Williams is there, it's gonna be like 9 minutes and 45 seconds left, and the pick's gonna be in.
Oh, no doubt. I'm not saying the Bucs aren't going to pick Quinnen Williams, but for me, and we kind of talked about this on the end of the show a couple of days ago, which, by the way, if you guys haven't listened, make sure you go check that out. Our buddy Trevor Sikkema was on with us that one. That was a good show. You can check him out over at the Draft Network. But anyways, at the end of that show, I made it clear that in my eyes, the glaring need for a linebacker is more important than
the best player in the draft?
A talented pass rusher. I'm not directly comparing Devin White and Quinnen Williams. I'm comparing Devin White to the other pass rushers that everyone talks about, the Ed Olivers, the Josh Allen, the Montez Sweat. I mean, of course, he's got his heart stuff going on, unfortunately, but the other names that you hear. I just want to make it clear that I like Devin White and he's my guy.
I like Devin White. I don't like him over any of those guys you mentioned besides Montez Sweat.
I think we need him more than any of those guys.
They might need him, okay? But Bruce Arians said today, right? I don't know if you saw this quote. He was like, if you draft for need instead of best player available, that's what gets you fired. Now, the Bucs could, depending on who's on the board, the Bucs could still believe that Devin White is the best player available. But that's exactly why if Quinnen Williams is there, they're going to pick Quinnen Williams. If Nick Bosa is there, they're going to pick Nick Bosa. Because those are going to be the best players available to them.
And really quickly, Bucs for life, Armor Man, our buddy Dalton, and Bucko Bruce. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Just wanted to say hello.
No, definitely. And we got a ton of questions.
Absolutely.
We'll get into a few of those, and then I'm going to do my mock draft top 5, which last week at this time was completely different. It was completely different.
So, before we jump into the questions that we do have, I want to ask you something, and it has to do with our buddy Gerald McCoy. Now, probably the biggest question mark on the Buccaneers roster right now is the 6-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle. He didn't show up to voluntary workouts, which, to me, if he believed he was going to be on the Bucs next year, not only has this guy, always been known as being the leader and one of the top influencers on the team, but if it really meant that much to him, do you think he would have showed up to the voluntary workouts? I mean, he seemed to do it every other year with no problem, right?
Yeah, but this organization has shown no signs that they're keeping him.
And here's the thing, too, is I think the Buccaneers screwed up, and that's why we haven't had any big things happen. We've said multiple times before that when it comes to Gerald McCoy, I'm almost positive the Bucs are just looking for a trade partner, just like they were with Deshaun Jackson, which is why he stuck around for so damn long. I think it might be a draft day decision, and if it's not, then they're probably just going to be forced to release him. But I think they screwed up in marketing Gerald McCoy because Jason Light and Bruce Arians basically said he's not the player he used to be. But you compare that to what the Giants did with OBJ. They literally said, we didn't draft Odell to trade him. And what did that do? That kept his market value high. Right now, nobody wants Gerald McCoy. And I can't say that it isn't our own fault. I mean, can you not agree with where I'm going here?
Yes and no, because, I mean...
I get that
do you really want a 30-year-old Asian defensive lineman who's had 6 sacks the past 2 seasons to make it $13 million?
No. And I get that, but I think if you're the Bucs, you kind of have to do what you can to... I don't want to say build a smokescreen to make him look like he's better than he is, but in this situation, that's almost exactly what you want to do. Like, you want other teams to be interested in him, and as far as I've heard, nobody wants anything to do with Gerald McCoy.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, and Pewter Report had said this on their podcast. I think, and this is happening actually with a lot of free agents as well, what's hurting is the loaded draft class at defensive line. The Ndamukong Suh is still out there to be signed.
Right.
What is hurting these guys, like Gerald McCoy, like Ndamukong Suh, obviously two different situations, but what's hurting these guys is the loaded draft class. Teams aren't going to pay a draft pick for a veteran that they feel like they could get a rookie for cheaper, for younger, and for probably the same production. Now, the way you can see Gerald McCoy get traded is possibly a team thinks that they can land a interior pass rusher. They're not able to. Round 1, they're not able to. Round 2, they're not able to. Round 3, they're not able to. And now all of a sudden they're like, well, we wanted a pass rusher and we wanted an interior guy. Let's call the Bucs about Gerald McCoy. And that's where I think you can see it. So that's the reason he hasn't been traded yet. And I think that's the reason that there's not a lot of interest from, on his part, on Sue's end, and a lot of people's end, just because all these teams are waiting for this draft class, because this draft class is like historically good on defensive line. So, it sucks that the Bucs can't, just ship them out right now if they're going to anyway. But they're trying to trade him. If not, they'll likely release him. And they will be drafting an interior defensive lineman in the first 3 rounds. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. No doubt. All right. So moving on from that, let's get into these questions we've had. We have loads of questions from you guys, and I'm going to toss this first one out there. Actually, let me publish this Facebook post to let everybody know we're live right now, and then I'll pull up those questions. There we go. All right, let me find them. Got to go to my text messages back with you. Here we go. We've got a ton of questions, and even the questions you sent me. I mean, tons of questions. All right. So our first question is going to be from Kevin Gurjanand. If I butchered that, please don't butcher me, I guess. Okay, so Kevin Gurjanand asks, he says, if Tampa Bay selects linebacker Devin White, will it be because of his talent? Will it be because of his talent or the lack of quality depth at the position? This is what we were just talking about. Do you want to answer this one, or you want me to answer this one first?
I mean, I'll go ahead.
Okay. Give me time.
I think it's a little bit of. I think it's a little bit of both. It's both sides. He's talented. Like, Rhett, you say he's your guy. I like him. I have 0 problems with Devin White. It's just, to me, and if this was, if Quinton Williams would go 1, Nick Bosa go, Ed Oliver, and Josh Allen would all go in the first 4 picks, I'd be fine with taking Devin White at 5. It's just, to me, I would prioritize the defensive line in a historically good defensive line class, right? I know a lot of people say, well, the depth's really nice. It is. But I would just prioritize that over a linebacker there. So Devin White's a really good player. Like, he's talented. And, I mean, they're going to draft him. I mean, if they brought Quan back, they probably wouldn't draft him.
Right. No, that makes 100% sense. Like, I don't disagree with you at all there.
Yeah. Unless they would move down and he'd still be there. Because, I mean, that really doesn't change them liking him. They like him for the football player. Not just for, oh my God, we need a linebacker. Oh, he's the top-rated linebacker. We have to like him. No, they like him because they like what he can do. And a lot of it comes from, like you said, the lack of depth on the roster and the lack of depth in this draft class. Besides Devin White and Devin Bush, the 2 Devins in the class, there's really nobody else that can come in and step up to be a starter, just like Trevor had said. Right? I mean, you got Mac Wilson, but you can't really rely. I mean, he's a 2nd-round guy. Yeah. You can't really rely on Mac Wilson to step right in and deliver the same impact that a Devin White or Devin Bush would. It wouldn't happen.
Well,
so, I mean, to answer the question, it's a little bit of both.
Now, let me kind of jump on what you said. You had brought up that he is talented, and he is. You can't take anything like that away from him. But I had said a little bit earlier, I was doing a live stream on Instagram, dude, if he is half as talented is Quan Alexander, and he can tackle? Because that was everybody's biggest gripe with Quan, was that he couldn't tackle. Devin White, as far as I know, is one of the best tacklers in college football. So, not only to secure a linebacker because of the need, but he's probably the best linebacker in the draft. And Trevor had brought up another point. You can start Levante David all 16 games if he's healthy, but even if he is, how much help is he going to get back there? And with a defensive line that's going to be coming with a lot of different looks, a lot of different variations of guys rushing the quarterback, I have a feeling that I don't want to say we can afford to miss out on Quinnen Williams, because I will agree with you and say that he probably is the best player in the draft. I just look at what we need, and of course, if you look at what you need as opposed to best available player, then that's different. But I think when it comes down to it and the way the pieces fall together, I want Devin White so bad. But going back to the question,
you want Devin White over anybody else in the class?
I want Devin White if Quinnen Williams isn't available.
So if Quinnen Williams is there, you'll take Quinnen Williams.
I'll take him because I have to, because that's what the Bucs are going to do.
No. Let's say you're Jason Light. Quinnen Williams is there. Devin White's there. Who are you taking?
I'll take Devin White. I said it last week on the show. I'll say it again now. I'm going to hold up my end of the bargain. I like Devin White. I prefer him. And
I like Devin White too. I don't like him that much. All right, go ahead.
All right. So moving on to the next question. It is from Brycey_Wisey. Brycey Icy, I guess. Let me see if I can find this here. Brycey. Come on, Bryce. Where you at? Got tons of questions I got to get through here. We're coming. We're getting there. There he is. Okay. Oh. Okay, this is a good follow-up. Our buddy Brycey says, what is a higher priority in the draft? A linebacker or a corner? It's a linebacker. Your turn, Evan.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. It's probably a linebacker. I think people are really, really forgetting about Vernon Hargreaves. And I know a lot of people are going to tell me, oh, well, he only has one interception in 3 years.
Yeah, but he didn't play at all last year.
I know, but the reason I think that a lot of people are just forgetting about him is because last year in training camp, he was the best Bucs corner. I know that's not saying much, right? You had Brent Grimes, who barely participated in training camp. Then you had rookies Carlton Davis, MJ Stewart. And in the preseason, he was their best corner. Week 1 in New Orleans, before he got injured, he was their best corner. He was going to continue to get better. He was playing with confidence. He was playing well. And then that injury sucks, Hopefully, that doesn't really hamper him this season. Because if it doesn't, I think he's going to be just fine. I think Carlton Davis will continue to develop. I do think they'll add a corner either through the draft or through the so-called third wave of free agency, which is after the draft. Veterans sometimes do get cut. There's still some veterans like Morris Claiborne out there that could be had.
I totally forgot about him.
I do think they'll add a corner. I would say linebacker, just because you have Levante David, but other than that, what else, right?
Yeah, and then, you also look at the draft, too. It's pretty obvious the Bucs weren't going to draft a corner in the first round. I remember everybody was really high on Greedy Williams for a long time.
For no reason.
Because
he has a cool name.
Yeah, that's true. He's a cornerback named Greedy. But, yeah, like you said, a linebacker is just really something you can fit in a little bit better when it comes to the draft, because you don't want to have another rookie back there. That's one of the things we had mentioned before was, to throw another first-year guy back there when you've already got a very young secondary looking for veteran help. For example, a guy like Mo Claiborne you had just brought up. It wouldn't be super wise to throw a young guy back there, so I like the idea that a linebacker is the way to go, and hopefully that's what we end up securing in the first round. But let's go to our next question here. from our buddy Black Dash 813. Let me find this here. See, this is the problem, is I introduce the question and then I can't find the question. Here it is. Our buddy Black Dash 813 on Instagram says, is there a real chance that we get Quinnen Williams if he is there? And And I mean,
if he's there, he's the pick.
I'll agree with you.
If he's there, it's 100% chance.
Yeah,
but
I don't think there's
the
any
problem
way...
is.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Just like you said, there's no way they're gonna pass on him, unless Devin White somehow forms into Ray Lewis's body and becomes this superhuman right before the draft. There's no way they're gonna pass on Quinnen Williams over Devin White, and maybe even the reason Quinnen Williams is there is because Devin White's already off the board. That may be a possibility. So you never really know. But the problem is, I've been told, last time I had talked to somebody with knowledge, they had told me, I had brought it up, and the thing they said to me was no chance. No chance that he was going to make it to 5. Now, it's the NFL draft. Anything can happen, right? I wouldn't say it's 0%, but it's not any more than like 15%.
So what do you think?
The odds aren't good.
So like, what do you think the shift in percentage would be with Kyler Murray going number 1 as opposed to him not going number 1? Because I know all of those teams are still looking for a pass rusher.
Yeah,
unless like New York trades back.
If Kyler goes 1, that's probably like the 15%. If Kyler doesn't go 1, it's like 5%. Because if Kyler doesn't go 1, that means a pass rusher is going 1. And it's likely. It sounds like it's going to be Nick Bosa. If it's not Kyler, it sounds like it's going to be Nick Bosa. So if he doesn't go 1, then you got the 49ers sitting there. And they might not want Quinnen Williams maybe because they have a lot of interior guys. But then you got the Jets. And then the Raiders. And, it just there's too many teams. So the best shot would be Kyler. Somebody trades up for the Jets and the Raiders become stupid. That's the only way.
What if the Raiders draft Kyler?
Trade up to 1?
No. They just get him at 4 because nobody picks him.
Over Quinnen Williams?
Why not?
That'd be funny.
I like the lack of response. That'll be funny. All right. So, looking at our live chat here, we've got a question from our buddy Armor Man. He is asking, will Bruce make wise decisions in the draft? I think and I assume you're referring to head coach Bruce Arians. I think he's got a game plan. I think he's got multiple game plans of what he wants to happen. And I think all of those... I think all of those are something we'll be happy with, but I'm assuming he's going to do the best that he can, right?
I mean, yeah.
Like, it's kind of an open-ended... It's a very open-ended question.
Well, he's not the only one running the show. I mean, Jason Light's still running... Jason Light's still running most of the show. Like, it's not... This isn't a John Gruden situation. Bruce Arians isn't in charge. Bruce Arians has more input than, say, Dirk Cutter did, but Bruce Arians isn't in control of the personnel.
So, yeah. There you go, man.
There it is.
Our buddy Dalton also said, I still want Hargraves to do good, but someone needs to show him how to play tighter coverage. And...
Well, if the scheme was actually made that way. But
yeah, I mean, it just depends where we've seen him. You know, we've seen him play press, and as a press corner, he's a very, very good cornerback. So I can see what you mean about playing tighter coverage in certain situations, but of course, it's going to vary with the scheme and what he's going to be assigned to do. So, you know, if he's running a zone, it'll be hard to play tight man-on-man coverage if, of course, he's playing zone. So you really just got to see what happens there. But hopefully they can draw it up for him to go out there and do what he does best, because I'm sure they know what his strengths are at this point. So if you can build on that and just kind of help him take that next step, I think we'll see some good things about him. But we got to see how that scheme looks first. So hopefully training camp will see some more of him. All right. So returning back to our Instagram questions, we still have quite a few. Let me see. There we go. Get lost in all the text messages that we've got. Our next question is going to be from our buddy Smelly Cabbage. That's an awesome username, by the way. Smelly Cabbage said, who do you think Jason Light's 5 guys he'd love to take are? Evan, I'll toss this one to you.
Okay, so obviously Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa. They're 2.
You think Bosa's that high up there?
Yeah. Yeah, Bosa's number 2.
Okay.
He's good.
No, I
Like,
mean, I agree with you.
You may think he's kind of overrated. But he's still good.
I just, in a sense of like going top 2 or top 3. You know, I don't know how realistic it would be he'd fall to 5, but I guess that's a similar.
No. I'm just saying. The question was, who are Jason Light's 5 guys? Jason Light said at the combine that he has 5 guys right now that he would like to pick at 5.
I believe
So
you.
I'm saying who those 5 guys are: Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa, Devin White, Josh Allen, and Oliver.
I can't exactly disagree with you there. You know, you can't really put a lot of other pass rushers on that list. Of course, Montez Sweat we had mentioned before. Rashawn Gary is you can't put him above anyone else on there. So I'm with you. Sounds pretty accurate. Ed Oliver, Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa, Devin White, and oh god, what was the last one? Got a brain fart?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, you got it. So yeah, there are Light's 5 guys, if you have to assume. Moving on to our next question. If I can pull up the text messages fast enough. Here we go. Junior Jackson 54. He says, how likely are the Bucs to trade down in the first round? I want to trust my gut and not say very likely, but I mean, we've seen crazier things happen, right? I think unless the Bucs can really secure a solid deal like they did with Buffalo, where they just basically, you know, raped them in picks last year, that's different. But I mean, even if you do trade down, how far would you go and who would you pick at that point? Because pretty much all 5 of those guys on Light's list probably aren't going to be there unless one of them falls, and there's only 2 of those guys that I see falling farther than top 6. What would you do? What do you think?
Yeah. I don't think it's likely. It all depends on how the board shakes out. If Arizona doesn't pick Kyler, if they don't pick Kyler Murray, I think it goes up, especially if the Jets don't trade out of 3. I think the Bucs will definitely trade back then. The lowest they would probably go,
I want to say 10.
Yeah, I was going to say 11 with Cincinnati is probably the lowest. Yeah, that's probably the lowest they would go. And even then, I mean, Devin White probably ain't going to be around.
Right. So let's set up this scenario.
Ed Oliver might not be there. Go ahead.
Let's set up this scenario. What would you do? I mean, I'm assuming you would pick Ed Oliver.
At 5?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
let's say it plays out this way. Can you see the Bucs trading back for any situation? So round 1, pick 1, Nick Bosa, going to Arizona. Pick 2, Quinnen Williams. Pick 3, Josh Allen. Pick 4, Devin White.
Yeah. Nah, they'd probably stay and take Oliver.
Because you can't imagine Oliver falling far enough to where the Bucs can land him as well as get a package deal, right?
Yeah, they would. I think they might get a few calls to move down, but unless it's a sweet deal, just like you said, I think it'd be hard to pass up Oliver.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got another question here, and it is... Let me see if I can find it. We're kind of wrapping up our questions as well. If you guys are in the live chat watching, you are always welcome to chime in. We will answer those questions anytime. But as of right now, we're kind of winding down on our Instagram questions. I'm trying to find this one that I had seen earlier, and it was a pretty okay question. Someone said, who do you think we're going to get? Oh, man. I'm trying to read through the questions here. Sorry for the dead air. Sorry for nothing but me thinking really hard. Okay, here we go. Think the Bucs will draft a running back first 3 rounds?
No. Just like what Trevor said, I think
It'll be the 4th round?
Yeah, I think it's that 4th or 5th round. If they're going to, it's going to be in the 4th or 5th round. I think that's the sweet spot.
Oh, I got you 100%. This is another one. David Silverberg asks, and this is a question directed at you, not so much me. Why are you so high on Ed Oliver? Personally, I would be pissed if we took him at 5.
Yeah, so I understand, right? A lot of Bucs fans have heard a lot of things about Devin White, and for good reason, right? He's a good football player. He's a good fit in the defense. He can fill a need. However, when I look at the film, I still see the Ed Oliver that was projected to be a number 1 pick just this past September. I still see it. Obviously, a lot of people say, oh, he could have some attitude issues, this and that, right? There was the tweet out there. Let me see if I can find it, because I can find it really fast, pull it up, about him possibly having attitude issues, maybe not being loyal. He said that Oliver was always talking trash and stuff, and he's not. A lot of scouts don't think he's going to be very loyal to his next team, and that since he fought his coaches in college or whatever, that sounds like a very familiar player to me. Can you guess that player?
Warren Sapp.
Yeah, and I don't think any Bucs fans are going to be complaining about Warren Sapp right now, right?
Yeah, really.
Nobody's going to be complaining. Go ahead.
Was it right around this time a year ago when they really wanted Simeon Rice to come back and actually legitimately play football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
That was 2 years ago.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
He's got to bring back the nastiness.
Yeah, at 45 years old, sure.
Hell yeah. I know some nasty 45-year-olds.
Do ya?
Oh, that was gross.
Oh, man. Okay. Jeez, man. All right.
So, when you look at Ed Oliver, you see the film, you see a very talented player, aside from all the attitude problems, and you see a passionate guy.
Yeah, I like Devin White. It's just I see Ed Oliver, the top 2 projected pick that he was in the beginning of the year. That problem he had with the coach, with the jacket or whatever, that was stupid.
Oh, yeah.
So stupid. If you're not going to draft him because of that, that's dumb. Obviously, that's what the pre-draft process is in for. Is he a bad person? He hasn't really had any off-field issues. There's nothing to do with him off the field, right? So, yeah, Ed Oliver's my guy, and if the Bucs stay at 5 and the top 3 defensive linemen are gone, he's my pick. I understand that a lot of Bucs fans will be angry just because, like last year, right? If the Bucs, I guarantee you that if the Bucs didn't send out so many signals that it was Derwin James, I guarantee you, and it was the opposite with Vita Vea, and they picked Vita Vea, guarantee you the reaction is different. Guarantee it. But the fact that you start to see a lot of mock drafts, every mock draft has Devin White to the Bucs now, fans start to look him up, start to look up his highlights. Oh, this guy's good. This guy, I like this guy. He could, he's gonna be good.
And then if if
you don't take him, fans come back. Oh, you had Devin White on the board and you didn't take him. He was our guy. Why? That's just what it is.
That's every single year in every single draft was you had this guy on the board. Why didn't you take him? This and that, and ultimately it's something we'll have to see play out. I think Vita Vea, of course, coming into his second year, he's got some upside. I think we're going to see him improve and kind of groom himself into that pick that the Bucs took last year in the first round. I think people will be happy with it, and I think everyone will stop talking about Derwin James, because we sure did. We stopped talking about Derwin James maybe 3 weeks into the football season. Now we're looking ahead. And
they should have picked Derwin James. But Vita Vea is going to be a good player.
Yeah,
both of those things can be true. That's not that's not a bad thing. They should have picked Derwin James, but Vita Vea is going to be pretty good. Why can't we live in a world where both those things are true?
You're not wrong.
That's all I'm saying. And if they don't pick Devin White and they pick Ed Oliver, well, if they pick Quinn Williams, I don't think there's gonna be many people upset, because I think they all know that Quinn Williams is very good. And even if, like, Josh Allen, I think a lot of fans won't be upset because they see Josh Allen, oh, he's top 3 guy, okay. Yeah, but if they pick a guy like Ed Oliver, I do see a lot of fans getting upset.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Let me, refocus myself here. All right, so we have got to look back in the live chat. Our buddy Alejandro asks this, and this will be one of our last questions before we move on here. This is a pretty interesting one. What round would we see the Bucs pick a wide receiver? I want to say 5 or 6. I don't really think you address a wide receiver before you address a running back. Do you think they even draft a wide receiver?
Yeah. Yeah, I notice how I answered that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do. Jalen Hurd is that name to watch. J.C. Cornell, who's been pretty plugged in, has said that Jalen Hurd has a lot of fans inside one book. And J.C. Cornell actually did a mock draft on his Draft Network mock draft machine. And he said that, I was listening to him on another podcast, and he said the first 4 picks of that mock draft were tipped to him. It was like he had a source tell him that, like, these are the guys, like, that the Bucs could be looking at. And he picked Devin White at 5. He picked Clemson defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence at 39.
Dexter Lawrence is also my second-round guy.
Okay, yeah. Bucs like him a lot.
Yeah. He's basically who I've got on all my mocks.
Yeah. So, yeah, he said Devin White, he said that the Bucs love Devin White. He said that the Bucs love Dexter Lawrence. And he said that he had Drew Samia, or Samia, one of those, in the 3rd round, a guard from Oklahoma. And he wasn't told, like, Samia in particular, but he was told 3rd round, best guard available. That's what he said he was told by a source. And then 4th round was Jalen Hurd, the wide receiver. He was running back at Tennessee, turned wide receiver. Big body, can use him in a lot of different situations. I do think that the Bucs have a lot of interest in him. Wouldn't surprise me at all if he is indeed their 4th round pick.
How long did he play running back for? Do you know?
Nah, I don't think very long. Like, he played maybe a year.
Okay.
Maybe a year and a half, maybe. And then he started slowly going to wide receiver. And then he transferred from Tennessee to Baylor and played pretty much wide receiver at Baylor.
Okay. Just thinking about how you can use a guy who went from playing running back to wide receiver. And, of course, it's going to matter the amount of time. But just kind of think of all the possibilities. Putting him out on a screen, returning a kick, maybe doing an end around, stuff we should have done with Deshaun Jackson.
Oh.
But that's beyond the point. So let's transition now. I think we've answered just about all the questions we had. We still have some others, but they were kind of already answered in the other questions as well. But let's transition here, buddy. You have got a mock draft for us, right?
Yes, sir. The top 5 picks of the NFL draft. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. You don't need to watch the top 5 because this will happen. Absolutely.
That's confidence right there.
Trust me. Yeah, no need to watch the top 5 picks in the draft because you already know what's going to happen. So,
let's do
guys,
it then.
I'm just kidding. Okay, probably I may get all wrong.
Radiating confidence, man.
I may get all wrong. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So each pick I'm going to do a little bit of analysis, and then the Bucs pick I'll go deeper into. So let's do it. So number 1, the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to select Kyler Murray. There's been some things out there from Pete Prisco that the Cardinals aren't going to pick Kyler Murray, and they're undecided, and they don't know, and they're going to pick Nick Bosa, and they're picking Kyler Murray. And here's the reason why. A little short story. If you don't pick Kyler Murray, how does this look to Josh Rosen? If you don't pick Kyler Murray, why in the world did you even do this? Why did you flirt with him? Why did you send out those rumors that you loved him and that you were interested in him and you were going to trade Josh Rosen and all that stuff? Exactly. Josh Rosen, he has a heart too. So why would you do it? If you're not going to pick Kyler Murray, what was the exact reason? I heard something that, they said that they only send out those rumors to try to get the fans excited and buy tickets. The fans aren't going to buy tickets until the guy's actually picked. It doesn't make any sense. So Kyler Murray is the guy in Arizona. Okay, Bruce Arians' former team gets a new quarterback in there. It's a 1 year Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen will be traded to either like the Giants or not really the Giants, probably the Redskins or the Chargers. Maybe I think are probably the two likely teams. Okay, number 2, 49ers. Not really going to get into this much because I think this is pretty much an obvious pick. Nick Bosa. They need an edge rusher still, even after getting D Ford. Yeah, Nick Bosa, if he pans out and his injury issues all go away, yeah, that defensive line in San Francisco could be looking pretty scary. 3, Jets. The dream dies, Bucs fans. Quinnen Williams is going to be the pick for the Jets because I don't do trades in my mock. I think there is a decent chance that the Jets could trade down for a team wanting Dwayne Haskins, maybe.
I want to say, like, if there's a possibility that any of those top 5 teams are going to trade back, I think the highest has to be the Jets. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see that happen.
Yeah, I think it's the Jets and then the Bucs. So I think the Jets will take Quinnen Williams. They're just going to go best player available. Defensive line in New York now is all of a sudden looking scary. You know, Quinnen Williams, Leonard Williams. They got a lot of talent there. So, I think Quinnen Williams is going to go off the board there. 4, now this is where it gets interesting. The Raiders. A lot of people are saying, that's a surprise pick. It's a surprise pick. You don't know who they're picking. They send all their scouts out. Nobody knows who they're picking. I do believe that like nobody really knows who they're picking. Like they're not going to know until right when they're on the clock. Right?
You're getting so many different smoke screens from Oakland. I mean, not only from the general NFL media, but just anything being reported. There's reports of John Gruden being in love with Kyler Murray.
I think that's real.
I do too.
I believe that.
That's why I think if he doesn't get drafted 1, he goes forward to Oakland.
If somebody doesn't trade ahead of Oakland, I think it's possible.
Yeah, that's true too.
So, and also the other thing, they're not taking Dwayne Haskins. Okay?
Jordan Rodriguez, what's up, dude?
I will eat my words if they do, but they're not going to take Dwayne Haskins. What that is, that's the Jets in trying to spruce that up, right? Connor Rogers from Bleacher Report was the guy who said that. Connor Rogers is from Jets land, okay? They're trying to spruce that up to try and say, well, Oakland could take Haskins at 4, so if you want Haskins, you're going to have to come up to 3. That's what that is. All right, guys? The surprise pick, though, for the Raiders is Devin White. I think that John Gruden loves the speed of Devin White. He loves the flashy ability, the athleticism, the instincts. And I think that he's somebody that, John Gruden would like him, and I think that he's somebody that Mike Mayock would even like. So I think that Devin White is there. They still have a need at linebacker. Even though they added Fontes Perfect, Brandon Marshall, they still could use another one. So I think they go Devin White. And at 5, the one you've all been waiting for. So I believe that the Bucs have a tough decision here. Well, I don't think they're going to get many offers to trade down. Maybe a few, but I don't really think any.
Not even with a package deal and Gerald McCoy.
No, maybe a few from Washington or something, but they're not going to move all the way down to 15. They're just not going to do it. Because Washington may still want to come up if they haven't traded up for Dwayne Haskins yet, and they didn't trade for Josh Rosen. Maybe they want Dwayne Haskins, and they call Tampa because maybe they still think the Giants could take him at 6. So Jason Light might get a phone call, and he'll let it ring, and he'll answer it, and he'll say, nah, I think we're going to keep the pick. And he's sitting there, and Josh Allen and Ed Oliver are the two probably best players on the board. And that's a tough decision. That's a really tough decision. I would not want to be Jason Light in that decision. I would pick Ed Oliver. Okay, if I was a general manager, I would probably pick Ed Oliver. Just because with Gerald McCoy likely going, I feel like interior defensive line is going to be more of a need than edge for this team, even though Josh Allen fits what they do well. But with the 5th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, my mock draft, the Buccaneers select Josh Allen.
Wow.
I do think that if Devin White is off the board and Quinn Williams is off the board, I think Josh Allen is going to be their pick.
Over a guy like Ed Oliver?
Yeah, I just think that they're going to value Josh Allen's edge ability more. They haven't had that true edge guy. I think he fits a 3-4 perfectly. They sent Todd Bowles to his pro day. They also sent Todd Bowles to Ed Oliver's pro day. It's just I think that Josh Allen would just edge out Ed Oliver. And it's a good pick.
Pun intended, right?
I get it. That's a good one. It's a good pick. Like I said, I would pick Ed Oliver, but I believe that the Bucs would end up selecting Josh Allen. So there you go. Number 1, Kyler Murray. Number 2, Nick Bosa. Number 3, Quinn Williams. Number 4, Devin White. Number 5, Josh Allen.
And I can see what you mean with the Bucs, appreciating his use as an end rusher, because like you said, they haven't really had a true guy to do that since Simeon Rice. Of course, JPP doing great things last year, Carl Nassib as well, but those guys aren't guaranteed. You bring in your draft guy, you've got him locked down for 4 years. You're fairly secure, and you don't have to toss a whole lot of money at the position until you have time to figure it all out. So I can see what you mean there, but I'm surprised that it's Allen over Oliver. With all the talk of Quinnen Williams being Quinnen Williams, why do you not want the next best available player at that position? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, I would. I just have a feeling that the Bucs would prefer Josh Allen. And I said that today. I sent out a tweet today. I said, even if because there's a lot of buzz that Josh Allen could be there, especially with the Raiders making this surprise pick. A lot of people do not think that Josh Allen is going to end up in Oakland, just because a lot of people don't think that they really like Josh Allen. So they think it's Devin White. And I think, that if Josh Allen's there, he's going to be the Bucs pick if Devin White's not there. If Devin White's there, I do believe that Devin White is going to be picked still.
Okay.
I still say that the only 2 guys are going to pick Devin White over, they're going to pick over Devin White's Quinn Williams and Nick Bosa. Here is the thing. I sent out a tweet. I said, even if Allen's there, they should still draft Oliver. I still think even if Devin White and Ed Oliver are there, they should draft Ed Oliver. I don't know.
Whenever I think about the Bucs picking Ed Oliver at 5, you know who I think of?
No.
Our buddy Ren from the Pewtercast.
Yep. He'd be happy.
If you guys follow him on Twitter, every tweet, the punchline is basically Bucs take Ed Oliver at 5. It was there was one of these things.
Did you see the one? Did you see the one because the Bucs are having that guest announcer?
Oh yeah, to do the first pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. By the way, if you guys
really
hadn't heard, 19-year-old Casey Reynolds of Maysville, Georgia, a lifelong Buccaneers fan who is battling Hodgkin's lymphoma, will have his wish granted through the Make-A-Wish Foundation and read off Tampa Bay's first-round selection this coming Thursday night. That's kick-ass. I don't care if you're a fan of football or not. That's awesome.
Yep. So the Buccaneers had tweeted that and said Casey Reynolds will be granted Make-A-Wish to announce Buccaneers' first-round pick at the 2019 NFL Draft. And Ren had quoted it and said, Casey, listen carefully. No matter what the card reads, just say Ed Oliver, interior defensive lineman, University of Houston. Now, the replies, I had replied, I said, okay, now this one actually made me laugh. It's a good one. And then other people said, unless it says Quinnen Williams. And he was like, true. So, unless that card says Quinnen Williams, Casey, do us all a favor.
There was There was another one that I had seen. It was like this big picture of just this terrible looking monsoon and like these big rain clouds, and it looked like the world was going to end. And the caption on the photo said, "You walk out of Walmart after a night of shopping. What do you you see this? What do you do?" And then he responded to it and said, "I pick Ed Oliver at 5." So,
yeah, I mean, here's the thing: Bruce Arians. This is the last thing I'll say on it. Then we can go to something else. We can wrap this thing up. It's been a great show so far.
absolutely.
Bruce Arians had said at the Combine, and I believe at a press conference last week when they first got into minicamp, your outside guys can get a lot of sacks, yeah, but the pressure is going to come from the middle. So what do teams do when you have Vita Vea, who's the big mauler, right? It's going to eat up blocks, is a strong guy. And on the other side of him, you have Ed Oliver, who is, yes, a little bit undersized for a defensive tackle. I will say that, right? His weight isn't where it would ideally be. His height isn't where it would ideally be. But he's an animal. And, how do you stop that up the middle, right? You got to have a pretty good set of guards and center to be able to stop that consistently. And pressure from inside helps the guys on the outside. So that's where, JPP, Carl Nassib, Shaq Barrett, those guys are going to benefit from that.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's part of the reason to pick Ed Oliver as well. You got to think not just this year, 2 years down the line. JPP, guess what, guys? This is probably Jason Pierre-Paul's last season in Tampa, right? Just because he's owed a lot of money. He's going to be like 32 years old. I mean, unless he has another 12, sack season or whatever, I don't see him being back. So we'll see what happens. But, Carl Nassib, unrestricted free agent after the season. What if he leaves? That leaves your defensive line. Now your edge, Shaq Barrett signed a 1-year deal. Your edges aren't the best, but you still got those 2 interior guys.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And lining up, those 2 interior guys to not only have one talented defensive tackle, which we have had in the past, but to have 2 of those guys, I mean, like you said, it only makes the guys on the outside, their job that much easier. So to bring in, let's say hypothetically, a generational talent like Quinnen Williams could definitely do the Bucs a lot of good. But at the end of the day, Devin White's still my guy. So we are 2 days out from the 2019 NFL Draft. There's a lot that could happen between right now and then, believe it or not.
Going to be a lot of lies out there, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Don't believe everything you read. Do not. There was a thing out there that, the Jets were in love with Ed Oliver at 3. I don't believe that for a second. The Dwayne Haskins, the Raiders thing, I don't believe that. There's a lot of stuff out there. And the Bucs may be involved in some of it. There may be teams that are going to try to use the Bucs to leverage a guy to fall to them. Don't fall for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said it. You said it best. It's smokescreen season. So, folks, we'll leave you with that. Don't believe everything you hear when it comes to the NFL Draft. The only thing you're going to know set in stone for sure is whatever ends up happening this Thursday night. So make sure you check it out. I believe it starts at 8 o'clock. The Buccaneers have pick number 5, so they'll probably
be around
8:30.
8:30, 8:45, probably at the latest, 8:45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So depending on where I'm at, I haven't made draft plans yet. I don't even know if I'm going to sit at home and watch it or if I'm going to go to Wing House and watch it. I've got no clue. But no matter what I end up doing, I'll probably go live on Instagram, and you guys can catch that over
You going to do live reaction? You going to do live reaction
Yeah,
as the picks being announced?
Probably. That'd actually be pretty dope, yeah. And to get the live reaction, you know what? I think that idea just inspired me to go out. I think I'll be going to the Wing House off of Columbus, the one that you and I ate at on the balcony.
All right. Sweet.
I'm probably going to go to that one. I'll watch the draft there, and I'll make sure we're live for pick number 5 to get not only a live reaction from myself, but every other Bucs fan in the building. So this should be a good one, guys. And with all of that said, that's just about going to do it for this very special episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us here live on YouTube tonight. It's been a good one for sure. A lot of questions asked, a lot of people in the live chat. We appreciate the support and each and every one of you coming out. You can follow the show on Instagram at Cannon Fire Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at Cannon Fire Pod. You can follow my co-host Evan at Bucs Wave, formerly Bucs Football, on Instagram and Twitter, And also, Make sure you check out our partners at pewterreport.com for some of the best Bucs coverage in the game. They'll also get you plenty up to speed on any draft coverage or questions you may have still that we didn't answer for you here on the show. Last but not least, I am Rhett, signing off for Evan, and until next time, go Bucs!